Skyrim got another update, and while it came with a number of vital fixes, of which I am very grateful for, in fact many of which we discussed following the previous Creations update, things have unfortunately gotten even worse for this state of modding, or at the very least, a whole lot more complicated. And I wanted to wait a bit to see if things would be ironed out, but that hasn't quite happened, and yet another update is now on the way. So we're going to be covering a lot in this video, including the most recent update, as well as the full patch notes near the end of the video, what the current issues are in hopes to help you all navigate them, and for Bethesda to hopefully resolve them in the next update, what my recommendations are when it comes to either downgrading or staying on the latest versions, and a little bonus for today, as there is a major mod showcase event coming in the next few days, which will feature some very exciting mods coming to Skyrim. And yes, they're free. But before we do, I need to tell you all, whether you're part of the 93.5% or not, about today's sponsor, Manscaped. As while this might be a little TMI for some of you, the Lawnmower 5.0 Ultra from Manscaped has been keeping my balls nice and clean shaven, and even better, I have yet to experience any nicks or loss of body parts during use. So I'm more than happy to tell you all that the Perfect Package 5.0 Ultra is essential for each and every one of you. The Lawnmower is obviously the major selling point here, with its dual skin-safe blade heads to help reduce nicks, a light for entering the darkest of nether regions, multiple blade guards for varying shaves, and even an additional foil blade for when you want to get that extra close and smooth shave. But then there's the Crop Soother Ball Aftershave Lotion to pamper your delicate areas, and the Crop Preserver Ball Deodorant, which is great for avoiding any potential stink. So if you want to get in on the clean-shaven, nice-smelling lifestyle, then use my link and code Apoqsi down below, which will not only get you 20% off your order, but also free international shipping and the Shed 2.0 toiletries bag, which sounds pretty damn good to me. And thanks to Manscaped for sponsoring this video. Now back to Skyrim. Let's start with some of the more happy and exciting news, and then focus on the updates afterwards, as there's a very exciting event happening in the next few days, which I'm sure many of you haven't heard of, that being C3 Community Creations Con, which is taking place on February 2nd and 3rd, and will not only be a celebration of the modding talent in the Bethesda community, but will also be showcasing an array of mods for both Fallout and the Elder Scrolls, all for the benefit of the Make-A-Wish charity. And while I plan on making an in-depth video on the event for tomorrow, I did want to note in this video that at least 2 big Skyrim mods are confirmed to be featured during the event, that being both Skyblivion, the Oblivion remake mod set for release in 2025, and Skywind, the Morrowind remake mod, which has also been making a load of progress over the years. So it's going to be great to hear more from those teams during this event. As to whether more Skyrim mods will be featured, well, you'll just have to stay tuned to find out. And if you want to know more about the event and don't want to wait for my planned video that should be out tomorrow, you can find the links for the event details and schedule down in the description, along with everything else we'll be discussing in this video. But now it's time to go over Bethesda's latest update for Skyrim, that being version 1.6.1170. And before we get into the bad, I do want to acknowledge some good that happened this time around, as Bethesda actually gave us a heads up this time before dropping the update, so they gave a number of people time to prepare for it. They also continue to work with the SKSE team to ensure updates can happen for it as fast as possible, as with every update, it temporarily broke SKSE 64 and address library functionality. Again, this is due to the version dependency of these mods. They have always and will always require updates whenever the game itself is updated, so long as there are changes to the executable. It doesn't matter if it's a tiny hotfix or a major update, they are strictly version-dependent mods. This is something I'm going to hammer in with every update, as a lot of people think this is Bethesda going out of their way to break SKSE functionality, but the reality is there is nothing Bethesda can really do other than abandon their own game, which, considering most of these updates are to fix issues modders either can't fix, or to fix issues for those that can't or don't want to mod their game with SKSE 64 mods, that isn't really an option. So we just have to work around the reality of game updates, as we have always done. So if you want to know which of your SKSE 64 mods have been updated to support the latest version of the game, then you can check out the SKSE plugin status page, which shows you plugin compatibility with each update. This page is slowly updated with new information, but we are seeing both a much slower update rate this time around and a number of mods being broken, even if they use address library. One big example of that is SSE engine fixes, a very popular mod, as the issues with it on 1.6.1130 have unfortunately followed it to 1.6.1170. Now, instead of you having to manually edit the configuration file, as I showed you how to do in the previous Skyrim video, there is now a mod for that called SSE Engine Fixes Modified.toml file, and as the name states, this is only for SSE version 1.6.1130 and version 1.6.1170. So if you're on an older downgraded version of the game, you don't need this patch. Now, since this edit is to disable the broken achievement mods enabler function included in SSE Engine Fixes, you'll need to install and use the achievement mods enabler by X Shadowman X. That is, if you're wanting to be able to unlock achievements while you play with mods. All of that said, this update also came with another issue, that being the update made for GOG, with the previous GOG version being 1.6.659, which was essentially equivalent to that of 1.6.640 on Steam. The main difference being the version number. This allowed a pretty simple workaround to support both, just requiring a separate version of SKC64, and while that version is still available, the updated version on GOG now matches the version number on the Steam copy, that being 1.6.1170. That would have been great news if the executable itself wasn't different, but it is. That means, while the version numbers are the same, they aren't actually the same functionally, meaning SKC64 cannot support both with one version. And since they are both the same version number, despite being different, it breaks the logic of SKC64 itself, meaning there isn't really a proper way to safely support the new GOG version until either copy of the game is updated to once again mismatch the version IDs, which according to Ian Patterson, who has been communicating with GOG and Bethesda, is going to be the case at some point in the future. So not only is it recommended, but it's required to stay on 1.6.659 for GOG until that happens. And obviously, you'll also have to wait for SKC64 and Address Library to sort out the situation once that is the case. Speaking of which, we actually know that yet another update is coming for Skyrim, and this is thanks to BGS's return to actively updating the developer testing branch as seen via SteamDB following the latest update. So expect yet another Skyrim update, likely in the next few weeks. Which, if you want to prepare for that and avoid the update altogether on Steam, then you'll need to block Steam auto updates for Skyrim specifically. Now, I have a video on how to do so properly for any game on Steam, as simply changing the auto update preferences via Steam isn't a guarantee, as that setting can reset when Steam receives updates. And as I promised at the beginning of the video, my personal recommendation if you're wanting to mod the game on Steam is you should downgrade. Now, there are two mainly supported versions to do so, that being the now ancient 1.5.97, as a lot of newer mods have actually been backported to it, or 1.6.640, as it is currently the most widely supported post-Anniversary Edition versions of the game. In fact, I'd personally recommend 1.6.640 as long as you don't want to use .NET Script Framework. The only big mod I'm aware of that doesn't support it and hasn't been made obsolete. And the primary thing that you'd probably want .NET Script Framework for is no grass and objects. If that isn't the case, then I'd say 1.6.640 is the better option for you, as 1.6.640 is a more updated version of the game with some base improvements that I do think are worth having over 1.5.97. And if any of you would be interested in a more in-depth downgrade video where I don't just go over how to downgrade, but also how to know which mod versions you need for whichever version you've downgraded to, please go ahead and let me know down in the comments. And also feel free to let me know whether or not it should be its own dedicated video, or if I should just include the explanation in my updated downgrade tutorial for the unofficial downgrade patcher. But for those of you that just want to know how to downgrade and haven't done so already, then you can find my downgrade tutorial on screen now or down in the description, as again, the unofficial downgrade patcher hasn't been updated as of yet for the latest versions. But as alluded to just a moment ago, I'll make another updated downgrade tutorial when that day comes. As from what we know, Helgari is still working on the full rewritten version of it, which will apparently be coming with some major, very exciting improvements. Now, as for the patch itself, it's version 1.6.1170, and primarily includes some critical fixes for issues that were causing problems, not just for creations, but mods as a whole. And many of these issues were mentioned by some of you in the comments of my latest Skyrim videos, so it's great to see them addressed with this patch. Again, this isn't some sort of massive update. It's more to just clean up the mess they made with the initial creations update. So for those of you interested, let's go ahead and go over the full patch notes for version 1.6.1170. When using a controller, the right analog stick is now exclusively bound to the description field, and search is now bound to A, not the right trigger. As for bug fixes, menu items no longer bounce, author names should no longer shift upon inspecting the details page, fixed issues requiring the user to select menu options twice when returning to the main menu, fixed issues with the download bar not rendering correctly, fix an issue causing the order of screenshots to change between sessions, fix an issue causing deleted creations to appear in your load order, fix an issue rearranging the load order when updating a creation. The correct warning message is now displayed when a creation is downloaded without its dependencies, fix an issue preventing creation downloads after an extended time browsing the menus, fixed issue causing large creations to sometimes fail to download, restoring your load order will now properly enable disabled creations. The download all creations menu option will no longer deactivate previously installed creations. Canceling download all creations will no longer result in a crash when returning to the main menu. Uploading and restoring load orders to and from Bethesda.net will no longer fail on large load orders. The updated category in the channels list now shows creations from your library with available updates instead of showing latest uploads. Gallery images no longer change in size when browsing. Resolve the crash that could occur after loading Anniversary Edition after linking a new account. Fix an issue that could cause the wrong load order to be uploaded. Fix flickering of arrows on the banner on the initial load of the creations menu. Categories are now sorted by latest. File size now properly displays after updating a creation. Resolved an issue that could prompt a deletion confirmation when exiting the menus. And resolved an issue that would show some creations as owned, even if unpurchased. As for Epic only, they resolved an issue preventing creation credits from displaying in the user's account. For PlayStation only, they fixed a crash that could occur from repeatedly entering the in-game creation screen. Creation names should no longer flicker after downloading. And for PS5 exclusively, they fixed a crash when browsing the menu while it is loading, and the delete all creations now works as intended. For Xbox only, they fixed an issue that would kick the player to the main menu when attempting to download Survival Mode or Gold Brand, and the show missing content box on the search menu after loading a save with missing creations now works. For the GOG copy, they fix an issue preventing the anniversary upgrade prompt from working, fix an issue that could occur resulting in the wrong saves being overwritten, and included some localization fixes. And for the resource pack, which was added with the creations update, they resolved an unfilled alias on the carriage quests, added a calendar day script, and modular jugs now have audio when dropped. And there you go. That is the full patch notes for the most recent version of Skyrim. And as a final reminder, another update is coming, so be sure to prepare for it. In the meantime, if you'd like something else to watch instead of refreshing my channel page 24/7, then I'd suggest checking out my latest Fallout 4 video, where I not only discuss the upcoming next-gen updates, but also some major mods coming to the game. Or you can check out the other video on screen, which YouTube recommends. But that's it for this video. Thanks as always for watching, and until next time, this is Apoqsi, signing off.